Hello, it's great to be with you, and I don't think anybody is going to complain, especially about the weather. I'm Derek Ray in the commentary position, and I'm joined for expert analysis by my partner Stuart Robson. And it's all about action from the Premier League in this case. It's Nottingham Forest.
Hello, welcome back to Armchair Armoury, and after the travesty of Sunday at the Emirates, losing 3-0 to Brighton, and thus putting the final nail into the coffin of our Premier League title chase, we now move on to the penultimate game of the season. It feels like this season and last season especially has felt like a wild ride. You know, it's felt like a very much almost there kind of season, but at the seasons, but at the same time it's still been enjoyable. I think this season is kind of the first time for at least like 6 or 7 years where I've actually sort of like fallen in love with football again. There was a time, you know, back in 09-10, around that time, where I stopped watching football because it was just the same thing over and over again. It was just the same. Even though we were in some of the seasons we were playing well under Arsene Wenger, it was just the same thing over and over again. It wasn't until 15-16 where I took massive interest again, because it looked like we were potentially on course to go and win a league. But anyway, this is probably the first season since then, even though I've watched every season since then, I'm where I've been, you know, duped for a little while. I mean, I did consistently say that I think we won't win the league, but there were times after Bournemouth, after Villa, I thought this could be it. This could be the year where we finally break that drought of winning a Premier League title. But, you know, it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. So, we move forward. Penultimate game of the season. Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. I don't know whether after... Because I know I said in the reaction to Brighton, I said I was worried about this game. And I am, because I think the points difference between the bottom 4 or 5 teams is very, very close. So I'm pretty sure Nottingham Forest are going to play their skins out to try and get something out of the game. They'll be fighting for their lives, basically. I'm just checking the table. So yeah, they're currently in 16th, and they're 3 points off 18th. So they will be looking to try and build on that momentum. You know, in the last 2 games they've won and draw. They drew with Chelsea, obviously, and then they beat Southampton 4-3, who have now been confirmed as relegated. So I think they will be probably looking to... I'm not sure who's it down to that could relegate Leicester this weekend, or Leicester or Leeds. So I think they will be trying their best to get something out of this. And the worst time to play teams at the bottom of the table is when they're desperate. It's like what they say, when you corner a caged animal, they strike. And that is kind of what I'm worried about with this game. Like, not just that, but as I think I've said quite a few times over the past couple of weeks in these Armchair Armoury previews and reactions, is I am really worried because our record there in the last couple of years, or the last like 7-8 years, has been atrocious, or 5-6 years has been atrocious. We've played them twice in the FA Cup third round, both times at this City Ground, and both times we lost. We lost 4-2 in 2018 in Wenger's last season. I think it was a big deal because it was like the first time in Arsene Wenger's reign as Arsenal manager that Arsenal hadn't got past the third round of the FA Cup. And then obviously last season, the introduction of the no more red, complete white kit. We went to the City Ground and we lost 1-0. And that was, with all due respect, Championship players. You know, on paper they have much better players than they did then. And I think it's going to be tough. I think they're going to make it very, very difficult for us, and we might go into it. I'm worried as well that now we know that the league is pretty much done, or is done. They're probably going to be very downbeat and flat. Looks like Martinelli's going to be out for the rest of the season. I know it's only 2 games, but still, Zinchenko looks like he's still out. Obviously, they've confirmed Saliba's out for the rest of the season. So we're going to go with a slightly weakened squad, you know, despite the fact Trossard and Jorginho have done okay since they've come in, but it's still like not Martinelli, and it's not, you know, it's not Martinelli. And in the case of and that's the thing, even if we brought on Partey, I think Partey's so out of form at the moment, he may as well weaken the side. It's one thing, I think, I forget who said it now, but someone online said that it was almost as if the substitutions, which has been a big point of contention with Arteta this season, his substitutions have been weird at times. Him bringing on Partey seemed to make us a lot worse. Though Partey and Nelson, not necessarily Nelson, but I felt like Partey was just, I don't know, he's lost. He has these bouts. He had it last season, like mid-season, where he just lost his confidence and just kept giving the ball away, and like every time he got touched by anyone, he'd start like appealing to the referee and all of that instead of concentrating on the game and stuff. I think it's mentality. I mean, it's crazy, because at Atletico Madrid, he was a I almost swore then. He was almost he was a monster. He was an absolute beast at Atletico Madrid that looked like nothing could faze him. And since he's come to Arsenal, maybe it's because he came off of a bad injury, I don't know, but like ever since he's come to Arsenal, he's just had these like inconsistent form throughout his time here. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. I mean, the play of the match on FIFA that I did didn't go very well. I managed to get, if you carry on watching, you'll see what happens. But unfortunately, this season, FIFA has been less accurate to real life, which is kind of what it is anyway. So yeah, I guess the other thing to talk about before I go on to kind of score prediction, is it's looking like, due to reports today, that Granit Xhaka is probably going to leave Arsenal at the end of the season. It's looking like it's going to be by Leverkusen, which is interesting. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm gutted. I think it would have been nice to have him for another year, just to have someone as like a squad player, because I'm pretty sure he would have been okay playing as a squad player if we brought in a Caicedo or a Declan Rice or whatever. But yeah, like, I suppose, you know, he's 30 now, you know, winding down his career, and if he knows that he's going to be replaced, obviously there's obviously been discussions going on behind the scenes with Edu and Arteta and everyone, who have probably told him, look, we're looking to bring someone in your position, and next season you're probably not going to get as much game time as you did this season. And he's probably gone, well, I want to play, so I'll go somewhere else. I know that in his interview, when he spoke about like the trouble that he had with the fans and stuff like that, he said Mikel spoke to him and said, you know, let's do something special here. And in some ways, I think Tom Canton said this on the Gouda Talk TV, that, which I agree with him to some extent, that I think he has done something special. Yes, we didn't win anything, but he was there for the transition, and he's redeemed himself in the eyes of Arsenal fans. You think back to 2019 when he was telling the fans to fuck off and all this kind of stuff, and throwing the armband and the shirt and all that kind of stuff. I'm not condoning the fans either. Like I was actually sort of more on the side of Xhaka in that situation, because I think that, particularly Arsenal fans, I notice it a lot with Arsenal fans and Man United fans, is that there's this entitled mentality that some of our fans have, where they think, well, I pay the most expensive for the most expensive season ticket in the country, so I should have the right to say whatever I want. No, like, you don't sit there like insulting the guy's family. Like, it's ridiculous, and saying he should kill himself and all this kind of stuff. Like, just people are pussies sometimes. That's the thing. And obviously, if you're being goaded and goaded and goaded, you're going to react eventually. And I'm not saying what he did was right, but it was just a natural thing. It's the thing that we humans do. You see it so many times. I'm sure hundreds and thousands of you out there, well, hundreds, because I only get like hundreds on on these videos. But at least one of you out there, two of you have been bullied in your life. I've been bullied, and eventually there's a point where you snap and you just do something. Unfortunately it's a natural reaction, and he didn't handle it well, but I can see why he had that reaction. But over the season since then, he's managed to redeem himself. There's been a few here and there moments where he's got himself sent off or given away a penalty or something like that, but I think that's just part of his game, unfortunately. But I will say that he's redeemed himself, and he's probably been, in the past 2 seasons, one of our best players. I think he was probably singularly, along with Saka, probably one of our best players last season. But I think this season he's kind of been part of that first 11 and been part of taking us on that title charge. So I won't sit here saying that, because I don't sit here, pissing with my piss boiling because I'm angry that a player's leaving. Like, it happens, it's football. Like, players leave. Like, I've seen legends of this club leave and go on to, well, you could say bigger and better things. I mean, Henry left to sit on the bench at Barcelona, but still. But yeah, I've seen great players leave this club and go somewhere else. So I'm used to it. I'm used to seeing our best players go somewhere else and do whatever it is they do, so I'm not totally like down about it. It's just that the only time I would worry is if the club don't replace him and they don't quote unquote upgrade on him. That would be the only thing that would annoy me. But I wish him all the best. I think he's been apart from that 1 year, I think he's been a great servant for Arsenal. I don't think that he's been as bad as people say he is. I think, yes, he's been unfortunate in the circumstances as where he's been sent off and stuff like that, and he's given away penalties. I remember, the own goal he scored against Aston Villa that won them the game 2 seasons ago in the COVID season. But I think he's always the one thing I always want to see with someone that plays for Arsenal is I want to see them kind of like die for the shirt. And I think it's safe to say that Granit Xhaka died for the shirt in some ways. He was one of those players, and I know there's going to be people that, if there's people that see this video and they're going to think this guy doesn't know about football or whatever, but there were similarities between him and people like Tony Adams and Steve Bold and Martin Keown. Like, there was, a quote-unquote hardness about him where he was willing to defend the players and defend the club and all that kind of stuff. And as I said, apart from that 1 year where he turned on the fans because the fans were goading him, I think he's done all right. I think he's been one of our better players a lot of the time. As I said at the beginning of this little rant, it's, if you want to call it a rant, it's a shame that he's not going to be with us anymore, and it would have been nice to see him there just for the transition, so we'd have someone as backup for Carabao Cup games and FA Cup games and that sort of thing, and with the Champions League and all that kind of stuff. But I wish him all the best. Hope he gets what he wants from Bayer Leverkusen. Anyway, back to the game. I actually think we're going to lose this. I don't sit here. I'm not as someone that's entering the Arsenal space or the Arsenal content creator space. I don't want to be someone that I've never been a fan that just says Arsenal are going to win every game, because I know they won't. I actually think that this isn't going to go well. I'm really worried that we're going to go out with a whimper. I think we'll beat Wolves on the last day, but I think this will be, if people thought Brighton was bad, this could potentially be worse. I don't think we'll get battered or anything like that, like what you may or may not see in the FIFA play that I did. But I think we probably will lose this narrowly, maybe 2-1 or 1-0. Because I think we'll be flat after Brighton and after basically handing the City over to the title, handing the title over to City, but essentially falling away at the last hurdle as well. So I think there's going to be that in our heads where it's like, we'll be low on confidence, I can imagine. So I think that with the fact that Nottingham Forest will be scrapping to get anything out of this game, it's going to make it very difficult for us, I think. So I think it's going to be either 2-1 or 1-0 to Nottingham Forest, unfortunately. I mean, we've got second place wrapped up, Champions League football next season, so it's not like it's a be-all and end-all if we do lose this game. But obviously, I always want to see Arsenal win and perform well. But at this moment in time, I just can't see it. Right, I think I've actually gone on for quite a while today. A big speech on Granit Xhaka. I'm going to leave it there. I will be back again after the game on Saturday. It's 5:30 kickoff, so it'll be quite late. So until then, take care and stay safe.
Well, we're inside the final 15 minutes. Renan Lodi. Attending to his defensive chores. Chance to set up an equaliser from the corner.
Well, can they draw level here? The crowd certainly think so.
So the corner played into the box. Now can they counter clinically? They need to get bodies back. Well, didn't go to plan in the end. Splendid tackle and a throw-in coming up. Now they're going to alter things. Here's the substitution.
Number 39, Chris Wood.
Gustavo Scarpa. He's in control of the situation. They're showing a willingness to attack, as they must, given the circumstances. Time running out. Oh, a goal! An equaliser in the closing stages.
Well, here's the goal again, and it's a really nice ball to put him through. The vision to set up the chance is outstanding, and it makes the striker's job so easy. All he has to do is make the right connection. It's a lovely goal.
Well, another equaliser. What a topsy-turvy game this has been. And a goal at this stage might well turn out to be decisive. Must take the lead here, and they do! And with so little time left, that will surely be decisive. Astonishing drama.
Well, here it is again. He goes past his marker so easily with just a drop of the shoulder. And once he gets onto it, he just smashes it past the keeper with great technique. What an emphatic finish that is.
Well, a dramatic moment near the end, and that might well be the decider. And showing fine vision. Gibbs White. And reading it absolutely superbly. And the counter looks on here, options available. This could finish it! And in all likelihood, that is game over. So little time left for a response.
Well, you have to ask, where's the defending? The keeper is completely exposed, but he still had to finish it, and he did it really well. It's a good goal.
Not a scoreline we see all that often. 5-3. Thomas Partey. Gabriel Jesus. Might it be Gabriel Jesus? Well, goodness me, into the goalkeeper's grateful grasp. Read it superbly to take back possession. The final whistle, and the Gunners go down. They've lost this game. No points picked up. What did you think of it?
Well, Derek, they were certainly off the pace today. Beaten to the ball in too many key areas. They need to refocus now and perform better next time out.
And the game begins. Really good high press. Well, how close was that? Inches away. To take the lead. In it goes! The goal for 1-0, and that changes the dynamic. Can they convert? To make it 2-0. And the spot kick is converted as coolly as you like. Now this could be productive. Gabriel Jesus! And it's in! This game very much back on as a contest. Oh, a goal! Level now! The lead has evaporated. Happy to take on the shot. Well, clearly in the mood to make it a double, but fine goalkeeping.
Well, he's playing really well today. That was another decent...
And it's Gabriel Jesus. Oh, a goal! Can you believe what we're watching? It truly is a comeback and a half. For showing a willingness to attack, as they must, given the circumstances. Oh, a goal! An equaliser in the closing stages. And a goal at this stage might well turn out to be decisive. And they do! And with so little time left, that will surely be decisive. And the counter looks on here, options available. This could finish it! And in all likelihood, that